Welcome to EduRev. As your teacher today, I'm going to walk you through the absolutely fascinating science of how and why populations change over time. It's a topic that affects literally every single aspect of our lives, from the jobs we do right down to the cities we live in. So, let's jump right in. Take a look at this thought from former UN Secretary General Ban Ki moon. He pointed out that population aging is poised to become one of the most significant social transformations of the 21st century. I love this quote because it brilliantly illustrates that populations aren't just dry statistics on a spreadsheet. They're a ticking clock that will fundamentally reshape our entire world, impacting everything from healthcare to the global economy. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover understanding population dynamics, the world population at a glance, drivers of population change, India's population structure, and finally, the demographic dividend. Part 1. Understanding population dynamics, the basics of demography. Demography is the core science we use to understand these massive global shifts. It's simply the study of the composition of human populations. We look at size, meaning the total number of people, and structure, which includes age, gender, education, and occupation. But more importantly, we study how these features actually change over time. Governments rely heavily on this exact data. Here in India, this information is collected every 10 years through the census. We use this data to figure out exactly where to build schools, hospitals, and roads, while businesses use it to understand who their customers are. Part 2. World population at a glance, the macro view. Now, I want to draw your attention to a massive historic shift at the very top of the global rankings. In 2023, India actually overtook China to become the world's most populous country. India sits at roughly 144 crore people, just edging past China's 140 crore. To put that into perspective, that means Indians today make up about 17% of the entire world's population. It's huge. But how did the world get so big so fast? Well, back in 1950, the global population was just 2.51 billion. Today, we're crossing 8.21 billion. We've seen this explosive growth primarily because of incredible medical advancements, things like antibiotics and vaccines, along with much better water and sanitation. People are simply living longer. But here's the wild part. Projections show our global population will actually peak in the mid-2080s at around 10.31 billion. And then, fascinatingly, it'll start to decline. Part 3. Drivers of population change, births, deaths, and migration. So what exactly fuels these massive shifts from explosive growth to a sudden plateau? If I ask you what determines a country's population, well, the answer really just boils down to basic math. A country's population is the cumulative result of three things over time: births adding to the population, deaths subtracting from it, and migration, people moving in or out. Let's take a closer look at births. The birth rate is the number of live births per 1,000 population in a given year. Naturally, a high birth rate leads to rapid population growth. But it's very closely tied to another absolutely vital metric we call the fertility rate. which is the average number of children a woman would have in her lifetime. And here is where we hit a magic number, 2.1. This is known as the replacement level fertility. It's the average number of children per woman needed to keep a population perfectly stable. That's 2 to replace the parents and 0.1 to offset child mortality. This 2.1 figure is crucial because if a country's fertility rate falls below it, their population will eventually start to shrink. How different countries manage this rate is a fascinating study in contrasts. Back in 1979, China feared severe resource shortages, so they implemented a strict one-child policy, using fines and job losses to enforce it. Their fertility rate plummeted, sure, but it caused a severe aging crisis and weakened family networks. Meanwhile, India took a totally different approach. Starting in 1952, we used promotional campaigns like Hum Do, Hamare Do, naturally encouraging smaller families without the strict mandates. And it worked. Today, India's fertility rate has successfully lowered to 1.9, which is actually below replacement level. Our population is still growing right now, but that's just due to the momentum from our past. Part 4. India's population structure zooming in. When we zoom in, we see that India possesses a massive youth bulge. Currently, 27% of our population is under 15 years old. But the really staggering number, the one you need to remember, is that 65% of our population is in the working age group, between 15 and 59 years old. We have a massive base of adults ready to drive the economy forward, with only 8% in the elderly bracket right now. And that brings us to the number 28. That is India's median age today. It means exactly half our population is younger than 28 and half is older. We are incredibly young and dynamic. To put that in perspective, in aging nations like Japan, the median age is a much older 50. In the US, it's 39. India is absolutely teeming with youthful energy. Part 5. The demographic dividend, a limited window of opportunity. This youthful energy creates what we call the demographic dividend. This is the economic growth potential that results when a nation has a huge working age population. Think about it. More workers mean more economic activity, more tax revenue, and more resources for infrastructure. However, as your teacher, I have to emphasize something very important here. Just having young people isn't enough to guarantee success. We must rapidly invest in their education, their skilling, and their healthcare today. Why? Because this window of opportunity is strictly limited. The data clearly shows that after the year 2050, our population will inevitably begin transitioning toward an older, aging demographic. So, let's recap the vital concepts we've covered today to ensure you've got a firm grasp on the dynamics of population. First, demography is the study of population size, structure, and changes driven by births, deaths, and migration. Second, nations experience a demographic transition from high birth and death rates to low ones over time. Third, India has reached a major milestone. Our fertility rate is now below the replacement level at 1.9. Fourth, we currently possess a massive demographic dividend with 65% of our country in the working age share. And finally, this is a limited opportunity. Our demographic window will begin to close as India starts aging post 2050. Now, to help you master these concepts and access plenty of more content, notes, and practice tests, make sure you download the EduRev app.